Hello, my name is Alex Caranda. I am CTO of Decima Digital. In the past, I was part of Magento family. I was Technical Director of Professional Services, also known as ECG. Let us speak today about security and Magento security awareness in particular. Security topic become more and more critical these days. And based on latest trends for 2022, security topic is in top 5 chosen for this year. Especially taking into account the area we are working with, it's e-commerce. E-commerce world is continuously under enormous pressure in terms of security. A lot of guys trying to compromise their competitors, some hackers trying to steal customer data or sensitive information, some hackers trying to steal financial information. And we as a company or agency take our personal responsibility of data protection of our projects and customers. Even if we are not certified security experts, we should do our best to follow major security practices, Magento security recommendations, and development and configuration. So I would split all security awareness in 4 different areas. The first area, it's theoretical. It's compliance with IT standards and technical documentation. Practical, applying all theoretical data information on practice during development and maintenance. The third one is following security recommendation during Magento configuration. And finally, handling security incidents and business continuity. Let us see how Magento comply with IT standards. There could be a news for a lot of people, but Magento Commerce solution already passed quite a lot of security certifications and complied with a lot of security standards. Adobe security team is continuously working on improving Magento security to comply with more and more security standards. As an example, Magento Security Cloud already complied with PCI standard. It's already passed PCI compliance certification. It also passed EU-US Privacy Shield certification as well. In addition to security certification, Adobe team is also worried about continuity, security awareness, and technical documentation. So they worried about Magento developers, agencies, system integrator to know what is the recommendation, what is the latest changes and best practices they should be following in during development. So we can find quite a lot of technical documentation related to security settings, development coding standards, development security best practices, Magento sensitive information policy, content security policy document, and many other technical documentation which should be used on daily basis during development. So once we get all theoretical information, it's time to apply this information on practice and start with security development recommendations. Magento out of the box support content security policy feature. What is this feature? In addition to browser, it takes under control which scripts, fonts, styles would be loaded on the page and which will be blocked. This feature would block any not registered external scripts. The perfect example of how it can protect you is keyloggers or carding attack, when intruder insert on your website some external JavaScript. At this moment, it would be blocked. It is highly prohibited to use or connect to non-secure protocols. Using any outdated or non-secure protocols is almost identical inviting burglar on your website. Do not trust any user inputs during development. Even if data come from very trusted data sources, it still should be validated. There are two ways to validate such data inputs. The first way it's using data patterns, like zip code has specific data pattern, email. And the other way it's using data type validation. So you might expect your input to your solution might expect numbers only, date time. So if it gets string, it should be ignored or blocked. Everybody knows what is MySQL injection and how it can badly affect your website. Needs to be careful working with data, and it needs to follow Magento development recommendation for data operation. It is quite important to use correct data type on a database layer. As an example, using integer data type for string column might cause some system outages. Avoid using raw SQL queries. Raw SQL queries, it's a potential vulnerable code for SQL injection. And finally, Magento recommend using ORM, adapter, repository collection, data models to work with data. It minimizes the risk for SQL injection and save your data. Magento offers a set of options to prevent XSS vulnerabilities. XSS vulnerabilities is about two things. It's how we handle user inputs and how we prepare data outputs. About inputs, we already spoke a few slides before. And about output, it is highly recommended to use Magento Security escape wrapper methods, like escape HTML, escape URL, escape JS. And it is important to use the right escape methods for the right data types. As an example, applying escape JavaScript on URL won't help to protect user inputs or user output. Cross-site forgery is an attack when intruder uses customer session to execute some unwanted action on application. So Magento out of the box uses a form key validation and protection. In the current implementation with full page cache and public content management, form key is a fully automatic solution. But in any case, once you develop your custom forms or other post data processing, it is highly recommended to check if form key is properly working on front end and correspondingly validated on back end. Magento, as you know, is not only e-commerce platform, it is also a framework which implements a lot of wrapper classes and security solution. So it is important to use Magento framework wrapper classes instead of raw PHP functions. Do not use insecure PHP functions. Do not use super globals, and keep your code clean, because more messy code, more possibilities this code keeps some vulnerable solutions. Magento is highly demanding to the data we operate with. It needs to determine the data type we work with and apply corresponding rule to work with this data. Public data should be handled separately to sensitive or personal information. Personal information should be loaded for specific customer session only, shouldn't be accessible on public by any calls. Sensitive data should never be stored anywhere, even in browser cache. Magento also allows to apply some data encryption, for example, for credentials, for access tokens, or for the other stuff. So you can use Magento framework encryption, decryption methods. Magento also has different areas. You might know it's admin, front end, cron tab, GraphQL, API. And it is important to use the right objects in the right area. As an example, admin session should never be used on front-end area and vice versa. It is also important to restrict access to some areas or endpoints by ACL rules. So it shouldn't be accessible for any type of connection. Automated code analysis should help to improve overall project quality in several times, as well as prevent some bugs or vulnerabilities at the early project stage. There is Magento 2 code sniff for PHP code sniffer tool, which support different area of development and covers top 10 Magento coding issues. So you can follow this link and download this solution. It allows automatically check against some common Magento and PHP problem like row SQL queries, missing escape methods, use dangerous functions, or use PHP superglobals, and many others. And finally, this is a really good practice to document all features and changes. So everybody on the project could check and understand what was implemented in terms of security for specific features. It is also important to keep historical information about security incidents happened on the project. It will require less time to speed up resources into the problem. Once development done, it's time for maintenance or support. There's a set of recommendations which should be applied to live project. So first of all, starts with deployment. The only authorized user should be permitted to merge code into master and prepare releases. The only authorized user should be permitted to deploy software and changes. Just imagine a situation when multiple users, even junior developer, has access to deploy scripts and to deploy solution. So they might be deploying code on live server randomly without any control. So there potentially might be some risky code delivered on production. As you know, multiple owners do not responsible for anything. It is also important to run periodical Magento upgrades to keep Magento up to date. Also important to check third-party modules for security patches and updates. Usually such activities are recommended to be done every 6 months or maybe once per year. It is also important to remove unused or outdated extension. Such outdated extension might keep vulnerable code you even might not be aware of. So it's potential backdoor, you even don't know about this backdoor. How many of you does know where to check Magento patch availabilities? It is important to check and apply security patches on Magento periodically or by Adobe announcement. There is no need to apply all patches available on patch folder because some of patches might be fixing functionalities which is not required or not actively used on your website. Adobe Security team offers a free website security scanner. It is applied on many types of installation, including on-premise and cloud. It is also available for Magento Commerce and Community Edition. It works on scheduled basis and send notification via email. So just need to go register and start using. Security team applied different type of security scanners, including patch validation, penetration testing. So it's not just a basic vulnerabilities validation. It's more complex solution. Once website is live, it needs to enable all possible scanners and monitoring tools you have to control performance, security, system availability. It is recommended to enable web application firewall, configure New Relic alerting policy, or your hosting service utilization policy and alerting. It is also highly recommended to run periodical system backups. Run data backup once per day and keep backups for the last 10 days. Run deployment backups and keep past releases on your system. And it's also important to keep backups not on the same system which operate website. On my practice, I've seen when some intruder wiped out completely all web servers and web nodes in a moment, including backups, because backups was stored on the main admin node. It is also important to run periodical log analysis. It helps to understand the current system health state. So if you have many exceptions or fatal errors, it means system unhealthy, bleeding, and might keep potential security vulnerabilities. Out of the box, Magento offers also some security configurations, which better to be configured during go live period. One of the key features, which can be easily enabled, it's two-factor authentication. What this feature gives you, in addition to regular login and password, it requires you to use your mobile device for security code generation. And this code is regenerated every minute. And this code is assigned to your personal device only, which makes password brute forcing or stealing admin session almost impossible. This is must-have feature for all merchant and back offices. A simple admin URL and admin pass make easy target of attack on a specific location. So somebody might be trying to run some scanning or spider in your admin account for some vulnerabilities. So Magento allows you to use different admin domain and different admin paths to the back office. So as an example, your admin back office URL and path might look like xpanel.mywebsite.com xp_2022, and this is your admin path. And it's not obvious, and nobody knows that this is real admin. In addition, this dedicated domain can be easily protected by VPN or whitelisted APs. In the Magento back office, it is also possible to configure customer and admin user access policy. For admin user, it is possible to enable security key to URL, make admin password more complex, limit the length of admin session, like for 1 or 7 days, force admin user to change password every 60 or 90 days, limit the number of login attempts. For customer user, it's also possible to make a lot of settings to improve like password culture, complexity. To protect your website against DOS attack on front end, Magento recommends enabling reCAPTCHA. It is out-of-the-box feature. Right now, Magento support 3 versions of Google reCAPTCHA. Version 1, it's like a regular cached image. Version 2, it's not I'm a robot. And version 3, invisible reCAPTCHA. So this is out-of-the-box feature and recommended to be enabled by default. And Magento Commerce Cloud, in addition to Fastly CDN, offers 2 really cool features, which would help to protect the website against a lot of hacker attack and suspicious activities on the website. Web Application Firewall, by default, it allows to block some location, countries, intruder activities. If there is some specific configuration required, Adobe support team can help to configure it correctly and unblock trusted connections or endpoints. Fastly rate limits. This feature allows to block some customer session if it reaches some specific connection rate limits. As an example, somebody sent us 100-something request on checkout page for the past 5 minutes. This is definitely not normal, and such customer connection session should be blocked and can be blocked using this feature. Okay, we have everything configured. We did everything the right. We followed all best practices, but still some incident might happen. So what are the steps in case of security incident? First of all, it needs to inform all stakeholders about the problem. So everybody knows that experts are working on the problem right now. The problem is not left alone. The problem is under control. Secondly, stop any insecure activities. It should be blocked IP address, should be blocked countries, enable maintenance code, maintenance mode, any type of activities to stop insecure activities on your website. Identify the root cause, fix the reason for the security hole, and write incident report. Incident report is important not to punish somebody, but to keep historical information. What was the problem? How it was fixed? What was the incident effect on your website? So next time when we have the same problem, the time required to this problem to be solved would be significantly less. Okay, that's all about Magento Security. Like we can have more conversation about Magento Security, but that's all I prepared for you today. So thank you and keep your website in safe.